Well, welcome to my channel. This is Angel Michael. Today I want to talk about a situation that happened locally a few months back, and now it's just being put out in the newspaper. A local man was arrested and charged with rape and murder of his ex-girlfriend. Actually, the newspaper doesn't mention her as being the ex-girlfriend, but the reason why I know is because I know people that know this particular person. I'm From what I understand, this guy owns a business locally and started having a relationship with one of his female coworkers. And comes to find out that this particular person, lady, woman, whatever, was stealing money from him. And I heard it was like $1,500. And then, of course, they don't tell this in the newspaper, but she claims back in March that he supposedly lured her to his place of business and got them forced her to have sex and all this sort of stuff. But you know, I mean, if the guy was already having a relationship with the woman, why would he be forcing her? Of course, the newspaper is not telling the details about the fact that they already had a relationship anyway. But of course, this is just from what I gather from the information of people I know, is that he was probably going to the police and report her for thievery. And when she found out about it, she made up the story about the rape so that she'd get back at him and keep him from getting reimbursed for, stealing from him. And of course, the bad part, it's even worse than that, is the fact that he decided to take the law in his own hands and kill the woman. And it's a shame because the guy had a nice business. I didn't really know him personally. I know people that know him. And it's just a shame that he would give up his livelihood, his freedom, and his life all for this woman who everybody's already saying, who knows that she had a shady past. She was the type of person that was already doing stuff like this to other people. She had stolen from other men. What she would do is that she would get involved in a relationship with an employer and steal from them, and because the guy liked her a lot or they were having sex, they would ignore the fact that she had stolen money. Well, this guy evidently decided he didn't want to put up with it. And then she decided, well, I'm not going to jail, so I'm going to accuse him of rape, which she did. Unfortunately, he evidently had feelings for her. I don't know what the motivation was, but he was pretty angry, obviously, because I understand that he went to her house with a hatchet or something. It wasn't a gun. It was something that did a lot of damage and chopped her up pretty good, which is quite a shame because now he's facing not only rape charges but murder charges, and I don't know what they're going to do with him. Whether he's going to be in jail for a very long time, or they might even execute him. I don't know. This just came out recently in the paper, but I think it's a shame. But this is one thing that us guys need to realize, especially in MGTOW. Do not involve yourself with women who you know have a shady past. This guy should have checked her out to begin with. I mean, if he was the owner, I would have not hired somebody, let alone had a relationship with somebody, who had a shady past of stealing. I mean, it's very easy. Whenever I've applied for jobs, I've had people do all types of background checks on me, so evidently he must not do a very thorough background check. And it's foolish to have any kind of relationship with people you work with anyway. And then on top of that, it's just a mind-boggling to me that anybody would even conceive of the fact that, well, sure, what she did was terrible, but why would you consider murdering? I mean, I understand the anger and the frustration of the lie, but really, it's just not worth it. Why do you want to go to jail for the rest of your life over some stupid woman who basically is a thief and a liar anyway? But that's one thing us MGTOW guys have need to understand and to learn, that you have to use that noodle upstairs called a brain, and you don't involve yourself with people who are fishy. If you're a Christian, you should have some discernment and to look into these situations. Don't involve yourself in a relationship with people who are shady to begin with. I'm not saying that you have to always go out and do a police investigation on everybody that you come in contact with, or especially with women that you may or may not want to date. I actually had this woman years ago that told me, before she decided to ask, well, she didn't actually ask me out, although she kind of suggested that she wanted to ask me out, but she told a bunch of people that she'd check me out. She was an HR director at a local company in this town I lived in down in North Carolina, and I was really surprised. Although I guess it makes a lot of sense, because she wanted to make sure, since she was supposedly interested in me, that even though I had no interest in her whatsoever, and she wanted to let the other people in the group, especially the females, know that I was okay. Personally, I was kind of offended because, for one thing, I was not interested in dating her nor anybody in that group. I'd moved away. I had a teaching position in a small town, and people just automatically assume, because you go to a single group, that you're looking to hook up and date and all that. I mean, I had no interest whatsoever in seriously dating, let alone marrying anybody. I just wanted to make friends because I was living a good ways from home, and it's nice to be able to have other people to talk with and whatnot. But anyway, I get to the point that I'm really, at this stage of life, and that's been over 10 years ago. I was 40, now I'm 52, and I'm like, I have no desire whatsoever to get involved with dating, period, let alone getting married. And even back then, I was still kind of like, iffy about the whole thing. Now I've just come to the point that it's been, gracious, how long has it been now? It's probably been 6 years since I even have communicated any kind of romantic possibility of a date with a female. It's the last time I talked to this girl on the internet, and I think it was two different people, two different girls I talked to. But anyway, I discovered real quick that it's very difficult to find somebody who, on the internet, or anywhere for that matter, who's compatible and who's a real Christian, and who's not messed up in the head, because everybody I talked to have been a little on the wacky side. So I'm like, sorry, I'm not having anything to do with it, period. I've got better things to do with my money and my time and my life than to worry about trying to find a quote-unquote date or get married. I've got a buddy that all he does is think about trying to find a woman. I don't know what his problem is. I mean, he's got a nice job, he's got a nice house, got property, and that's all he thinks about, is trying to find him a woman. I mean, he used to drive 4 hours to go on a date and spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on one date. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but, even if I had the time and the money, I don't have the desire. And even the ones that I was talking to years ago, the only one that I liked, she happened to be 800 miles away. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I am not driving 800 miles just for a date. I don't think I've talked to her in 5 years. She sounded like a nice Christian girl, and we seemed to have some stuff in common, but I just don't have the money and the desire and the oomph about to do anything. I mean, I just don't have the ability to. I've got an old car with a lot of miles on it. I can't afford a new car. And I'm not driving 800 miles just to go on a date. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. I did too many other things I'd rather do with my time and my life and my money than to go on a date with somebody who lives almost 1,000 miles away. So, anyways, so you're going to ask, well, what does that have to do with this particular situation? Well, as MGTOW guys need to realize that there are a lot more important things in life than you looking for a woman. If you're a Christian, there's plenty other things for you to do. And I've got lots of different things that I enjoy doing. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm an artist, a writer, an animator. When I'm not working, that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, it's a shame that that's all these guys seem to be thinking about is their sex organs. Basically, I'm just being honest. I mean, these people, that's all they're thinking about. I'm like, and you're going to get yourself in trouble, too. I mean, this young fella, well, I call him young because he's the same age as me. He's still, in my opinion, I still consider it to be young. Because you're not, 80 yet, so... Got himself in trouble because I don't know whether he was married or not. I don't know a lot of the details about this particular guy's situation. I just know that he was, probably lonely or whatever, and this woman made herself available, and they end up having a relationship, probably sexual relationship. She stole from him, and he wanted his money back, and she wasn't about to do that. She didn't want to get in trouble with the law, and she wasn't going to give her the money back, so she comes up with this story about him raping her. And the reason why I believe that is because I've heard stories about this particular person. I'm not giving any names because I don't want to, be getting anybody into trouble, and I'm not doxing myself by giving any information either. But anyway, this situation is really sad because it's just a shame that he's throwing his life away over some silly woman, over a sexual affair that they had, over... I know people have killed for a whole lot more than, a whole lot less than $1,500. But to throw your life away over some woman is really foolish. But I hope that you MGTOW guys are smarter than that. And, today with this Me Too movement, any woman can make up anything they want to. And, and you'd be accused of rape or molestation, harassment, or whatever, and get yourself in trouble. But, however, there are ways of protecting yourself. For one thing, I wouldn't date whether you own the business or whether you are an employee. Do not date females where you work. Do not get in a car by yourself with a female. Do not be in a position where you have to worry about somebody making up some lie and accusing you of something you didn't do. With all these nice fancy phones they have now, it's very easy that you could, if you have to be in a situation where you're alone with a female, make sure that you're videotaping them. Use your phone or some other means. There are all kinds of little devices out there now that you can buy. They even have little recorders that are inside of a pen. You can stick them in your pocket and push a button and record. Because unfortunately, that's the way it is today. We don't have as guys, you know, it's very easy for women, the way they have things set up now, to accuse, and people are going to believe her over you. So you need to protect yourself from these crazy females who, for whatever reason, decide to accuse you of rape, harassment, or whatever. So don't end up like this guy. Don't lose your freedom, your livelihood, and your life because you're desperate for sex or whatever. You know, if you really need to, well, I don't want to be ugly here, but if you have a sex drive, there is something called masturbation. If I were you, I'd go jack off somewhere. Don't mess around with these females. Now, if you can find a nice Christian girl, and if you want to date, that's one thing. But use some common sense, guys. I mean, it's a shame that this happened to this fella. He's the same age as me. So he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, or they might decide to execute him because he tried to kill, when he met the woman that he killed, there was another woman there too, and he tried to get her too because she saw him kill the other woman. So, you know, that's an attempted murder as well. So, it was really very foolish of him to do that. It's really a shame. So now he has no life, has no possibility of having a life. He threw it all away because he had a little fling with some woman that he, coworker or an employee. I think she was an employee. Over a little bit of fling with her, just a little bit of poontang. It's really a shame. So don't throw your life away on some poontang. Well, anyway, I'm sure there's a whole lot more I could say, but anyway, that's enough for today. Please, if you're going to make comments, be respectful, and y'all have a wonderful day. God bless.